My stepson gave my therapy dog to the pound while I was hospitalized, so I made sure he learned what real consequences look like. I'm a 42-year-old former Marine with PTSD, and my therapy dog Rex has kept me alive for 4 years. When I married Georgia 3 years ago, I thought I'd found my second chance, but her 17-year-old son Darius made it clear he wanted me gone. The only thing Darius hates more than me is Rex, because he knows that dog is the only thing standing between me and complete breakdown. Last month I was having a panic attack in the kitchen, my chest tight and hands shaking when Rex pressed against me doing his trained pressure therapy. Darius walked in, rolled his eyes, and said, "Jesus, here we go again with the drama queen and his emotional support mutt." Georgia came in and saw me struggling, but instead of helping, she looked embarrassed and told Darius, "Not now," like I was the problem. My heart sank because Darius controlled this house, and Georgia would always choose his comfort over my survival. Darius called Rex a fake service dog and learned that attacking my military service always got the biggest reaction, so he said things like, "My real dad never needed a therapy animal. Maybe if you were a better soldier, you wouldn't be so broken." I've tried everything to connect with this kid, but at family dinners he'd smirk and say, "Why would you care what I do? You probably won't be around long enough since mom's track record with men is pathetic." Georgia would say, "Darius, stop," but her voice was always weak, never backing it up with consequences. Everything exploded last week when I had my worst panic attack in months and collapsed in our driveway. Georgia rushed me to the emergency room where they kept me overnight for heart monitoring. Darius showed up at the hospital with fake concern, asking if he could have friends over since I'd be gone anyway. When I said no, he started yelling loud enough for everyone to stare, saying that I was controlling. Georgia dragged him outside, then came back in saying Darius made good points about our rules being unfair. Lying there with wires on my chest, I realized my wife would sacrifice my medical needs to avoid confronting her son. I came home to find our house reeking of beer, and Rex was gone. Darius was lounging in his room when I asked where Rex was. He didn't look up as he said, "Oh, Rex got out last night. Someone left the gate open." I spent 5 days in hell searching for Rex, calling every shelter and driving until my hands cramped. Day 3, our neighbor mentioned seeing Darius load a large dog into his car during the party, but wasn't sure. My blood went cold. Day 4, I checked our phone records and found Darius had called 3 shelters the night I was hospitalized. Day 5, the 3rd shelter confirmed Rex had been surrendered by a family member claiming he'd bitten people and was euthanized that morning. I dropped the phone and collapsed sobbing because Darius had murdered my lifeline. When I confronted Darius with the phone records, his fake concern disappeared. I found his text thread where he'd written about figuring out the best way to get rid of my dog. His friend wrote back saying, "Just say it bit you, they'll put it down." And Darius replied, "Already researched which shelters euthanize the fastest." When I showed Georgia the evidence, her first reaction was defensive, saying Darius must have been scared, and maybe this was a blessing because I'd become too dependent. That's when my heart shattered. Something cold from my military days took over. Full story on channel, linked below.